Marriage. From a Catholic priest, what do I know? Let's just focus on the exam. For the exam board, they want you to be able to say, what does the Catholic Church say the purpose of marriage is? One purpose is to create a loving bond between a husband and wife. Another is to have sex within a safe environment, a safe, loving environment. The third purpose of marriage is to be able to have children. And then the fourth is to be able to create a stable unit in which to bring up children within the Catholic faith. So 4 purposes of marriage, okay? Loving bond between husband and wife, having sex, being able to have children, and bringing those children up within the faith. What does the church teach about marriage? Well, they say it should be an exclusive relationship between one man and one woman. Where do they get that idea from? You know it, Genesis, Adam and Eve. And you're sitting there telling me, well, they're not married, or they weren't married. Of course they weren't married. But people can argue and say, look, there's no one else around at the time, so there was clearly just those two in an exclusive relationship. Just from their lifestyle, they would have made a commitment to each other. So they're held up as a model example for marriage. One man, one woman. Then you have the idea that the two, the man and the woman, become one. Think, Jesus said, the two become one flesh. And in the Bible, you hear it say that, or even in the wedding vows, you hear them say, what God has joined together, let no one separate. So in other words, the two become one flesh, one body. And marriage is for life, so it's not just for 5 minutes or 5 months. It's a serious commitment. It is for the remainder of life. That means if somebody dies in the marriage, the other person is free to remarry and get on with their life. Vows. Vows are promises, and at a wedding ceremony, a couple will make vows for life to love and cherish. That means you look after the other person, you don't beat them up, you don't make them feel small, you don't bully them, you love them. In sickness and in health, so that means if one of you gets sick, the other person will stand by you. For richer, for poorer, that means that if the other person loses their job or there's a problem in terms of money, you stand by them. You don't say, see you later. Similarly, if you win the winning lottery ticket, you don't trade your spouse in for a younger model. You just don't do that because you've made that commitment. And also, you make a vow for better, for worse. That means no matter what happens in your married life, you are going to stick with that other person. It's wonderful, it's beautiful. And let's have no argument on that. Now, the Pope himself says in his book, marriage is not just good, but beautiful. And he says it's beautiful because you create a safe place for children to grow up with both mother and father, so that they can get input from both mum and dad. He says that families help to create strong societies. In other words, you just can't get rid of the goodness that comes from marriage for society. Because think, it's not the government teaching kids right from wrong. Within a marriage, it's mum and dad teaching kids right from wrong. Let's have a look. What else can we say? Marriage is a sacrament, so it's a holy moment. And so it's a significant event in your life when you get closer to the other person through your marriage and to God. So it is a sacrament, and therefore it is holy and it shouldn't be broken. Atheists and humanists will say, actually, marriage is a private matter. Well, the church also says it's a private matter, but it's so important, make a public commitment. Whereas atheists and humanists will say, no, you don't have to do it in front of other people. Go and have a civil ceremony, or maybe just live together in cohabitation. And they would say, atheists and humanists would say, look, marriage should be based on trust and respect if you're going to do it. Well, the church also says it should be based on trust and respect, so there's no difference over there. And atheists and humanists would say it should be an exclusive relationship, so does the church. So we're not that different on marriage in those respects. Some atheists and humanists would say, look, it's all right to go and have another partner, but the church would say, no, you made a commitment to one person. It's a beautiful thing. So you just have that one spouse. Well, maybe it's more acceptable in some societies. Maybe it's for financial reasons. So when one of them pops their clogs, the other one can get their money. Money. They can get their money without paying inheritance tax, or they can keep their estate, they can keep their company pension. All sorts of reasons why people want to get married, or for the photographs. 2020. 2 purposes of Catholic marriage. Well, I've already told you. 1, to have children. 2, to have sex within a safe, loving relationship. Another question could be, let's have a look. Sex outside marriage is wrong. And you might say yes, because within marriage it's a safe environment to have sex. You could say within marriage you have a bond between 2 people that is not to be broken. And then if you want to know any more, look at my video on sexual relationships. Now, 12 marker. Marriage shows total commitment. You could say yes, because you've made a vow, a promise for life. That is total commitment. It's not a 2-bit promise. You could say you make a commitment for better, for worse. So no matter what happens in your life, you will stay together. That is serious commitment. For richer, for poorer. Money, money, money. So no matter what happens on the financial front, you will stay together. You won't abandon your partner. Total commitment. In sickness and in health. Your spouse gets sick, your husband or wife will stand by you. Total commitment. You've made it publicly in front of your friends and family, but in the eyes of God, that is total commitment. You're not sloping your shoulders on that one. On the other hand, you could say, no, it's not total commitment, because you can still go off and have an affair. Who's going to stop you? You could get an annulment. You could get a divorce. Marriage, it is possible to break a marriage. So maybe it's not total commitment. Maybe total commitment is living together without making a promise, but talk about the people where someone has just walked away because they've not put the ring on the finger. So anyway, that's your decision. Is marriage total commitment? Maybe not. Maybe total commitment comes from the kind of person you are, and that within your heart you remain loyal to that person, wedding ring on the finger or not. You could get a question, 3-mark question, that says 3 reasons why Catholic couples choose to get married. 1, to have sex. 2, to express complete love within a loving relationship. And 3, to have children. Right, you know from looking at your friends and family about marriage. Use that in the exam. Be confident, and I'll go off and make your next video. Goodbye.